We are still sharing on the tips which you can use in order to have your chicks grow very well in the brooding stage. Now, if you haven't watched the previous videos where I shared a few tips on how to grow on how to keep your chickens, your baby chicks very well in the brooder, please go through the videos. The previous 3 or 2 videos have a lot of information that is very useful, that can help you to catch up with this new video. Now this is the second video on the brooding stage, and here are the tips I want to share with you. Seeker971 is our channel. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and don't forget to be sharing our content so that we can reach more people and they benefit from this good information. Yes, the brooding stage. You know, the brooding is very tricky, and it is where you it is the first stage. You know, it's very easy to lose your baby chicks if you are not very careful. So it needs someone who has the knowledge of what you are doing. You need to be having all the necessary information in order to keep your birds well, you know. So as I told you of yesterday, in the previous video, I told you that one of those things you should know, that your brooder should be set up in a way that it is not having any corners, that these birds, if they move around, if they run, if they get scared, you know, of something, you know, they are not going to pile up in one corner and then they start to suffocate. I think remember that. Now we're proceeding to the next points of importance. Now there is this other important tip. You should ensure that you provide enough feeders. Make sure that you provide enough feeding traps for your chicks. For instance, if you are having 100 chicks, for example, so for instance, if you're having like 100 chicks, make sure that at least you are having 4 feeding traps, 4 feeders, you know. Make sure that at least you have 4 feeders. Why? Now, if you're having like 4 feeders in your brooder, make sure that at least 25 birds they are feeding on a particular feeder. You have to reduce the competition. You have to reduce the competition. So if you're having 100 birds, so it's like 25 chicks are going to be feeding on a particular feeder. That is very important, because you don't want to be in a position, in a scenario where that the more energetic birds, they are going to feed fast, you know. They take all the food you have put, and then it is only the leftovers are going to be left for the less energetic birds. So you want to make sure that these birds are feeding at the same time. If they are resting at the same time. If they are feeding at the same time. So that is very important. Make sure that you have enough feeders. At least 25 birds feeding on one trap, and if you can provide more, that is the best. But remember, we are trying to minimize our expenses on the brooder. We are at the same time we are trying to provide the basic. Now the same applies to the drinkers, the drinking traps. Those ones also try to provide at least 4 of them. And for this one, you have to make sure that there is adequate water. Make sure it is having adequate water. It is okay for these birds to finish the feed, but water should not be finished at any particular time. Those birds can easily die, because remember, the brooder is having some heat. If you are having lights in, you are having some light. If you are using maybe heating lights, they are providing heat. If you are having a stove, maybe a charcoal stove, it is also providing heat. So these birds are always thirsty 24/7, because you are heating the room, so they are always feeling thirsty. So make sure the birds are always having water present, such that they will not go thirsty. That is very, very important. So provide enough drinkers in the brooder. And another point to note when it comes to the water you are giving the birds, this water should not be the plain water, the tap water. That water, make sure it is clean water, that it is not having typhoid, and also make sure that you add in some vitamins to boost their growth. Provide some vitamins, multivitamins in the water, such that these birds will grow energetic. That is very important. And also, like if you have been keeping the birds for like 6 days, and on the 7th day, when they are making a week, the brooder, you want to bring the vaccine. Now make sure that once you are trying to introduce the vaccines to the water, to the birds, either by water or by injection, make sure that the temperature in the room is normal temperature. Sure, it is normal temperature. That is very, very important, because once you introduce the vaccine, maybe to the water or by injection, whatever way, it can be oral or it can be by injection, but introduce the vaccine at a room temperature. Don't bring in the vaccine. Don't introduce the vaccine to the chicks when the temperatures of the room are very, very high. The vaccine will be rendered inactive. That is very, very important when you are trying to vaccinate your birds. Birds in a brooder fed 24/7. They're fed day and night. So make sure that you provide adequate feed. Provide enough feed in the feeding traps, such that these birds are going to be eating day and night. The birds all day, during day, during night, the birds should be eating. Why? Because you want these birds to grow very fast, and you want these birds to attain the desired weight in the brooder. Why we are doing so? That we are providing all the adequate feeds. We are giving them enough feed in this stage, because we want these birds, if they are broilers, to attain the desired weight very, very fast. And if it is layers, this is a very critical stage. It is in this stage that all the vital organs are being, are growing. It is a very vital stage, because all the organs for the birds are growing in the brooding stage. Once it is out of the brooder, going to start reducing on the concentrates, on the nutrients you put in the feed, because after the brooder you're going to be feeding these birds on the growers mash. And the growers mash, always the concentration of the nutrients is reduced a bit, because the birds are going to be feeding a lot, so you have to reduce on the feeding amount. Then another thing is the hygiene. The hygiene of the brooder has to be also taken care of. Why? Because we don't want these birds to get infections, to get attacks from different infections, bacterial infections like coccidiosis and others. So make sure that the litter within the brooder is always dry. It's not wet. There is no water pouring in the brooder. The feeding troughs should be a bit raised from the ground, and don't let the birds make their droppings in the drinkers. Once you see a drinker which is dirty, just take it out, clean it, and then you bring it back. That is very important also. And day by day, it is very good also to take record of the amount of feed you are giving the birds, such that you can keep track of how much feed they are taking, as you're also taking track of the weight, how much weight, body weight, how much body weight they are gaining. So that one will give you a clue of their progress in terms of feed conversion, because there is a way, there are cases when birds are taking in more feed, but the feed is not converted to body mass. That will mean that either the feed is not good, or something is wrong with the birds. So it is very good to always note how much feed you are giving the birds per day, and also keep track of their progress in terms of body weight. Yes, I think the last but not the least should be managing the heat. As managing the heat in the room, the temperatures in the room as the birds grow. If you see that the birds are growing more feathers, that one means that you have to reduce on the amount of heat, the amount of heat you give to these birds. That is very important. Second and 7-1 remains our channel. Thank you for clicking around. Remember to subscribe, like, and give us your comments. We shall be ready and very eager to respond to those comments as soon as possible. Thank you for being part of the channel. I sign out for now. See you in the next update.